Hey guys, I'm going to do some pointers today on what we go through steps-wise for drilling an insert on any one of our duck calls. We're going to do the checkmate today, give you some basic rundown on what we use for tools and why I do certain things. So to start it, I actually have a starter bit that's 1/4 inch starter bit that we use on pretty much all of our inserts to start. And then we run to our 1/4 inch drill bits. I have my stoppers set to certain depths that we like. The reason why I have this, it makes it consistent for every tone channel that you're drilling. You don't have to worry about so much differential. You don't have to measure it every time. It's set, ready to go for every time. And a step bit for making sure my diameters on my bore sizes are correct. I have everything marked down where it needs to be for my finish depth and everything else, so I got that set. And then I use a actual bolt reamer for, actually got it off a tower, was that for a tower maker, or tower guys. Actually use this for reaming holes out to make sure they line up. But yeah, so this is what we use for our dimensions on most of our borings. And to break down what we start out with, I'll get this pilot bit started here, 1/4 inch. I usually drill somewhat around 800 to 900 RPMs. It's pretty standard for acrylic. Now, on acrylic stuff, you have to be super careful because you will run into a little heating. So you got to make sure you take your time on certain things. The pilot bit's not so important because that's going to get reamed out at the end. So don't worry so much about that. So I got that started, bit basically lined up. Use that so the bit doesn't flex as much. You get a very consistent dead center hole on where you're going to be running your 1/4 inch bit through. So then I get this on there. What I like to do, on these, they have the little starter bit like that, so you want to clear that out. You don't want to do that because it'll kind of grab the bit and pull it into the insert. You don't want to do that because you'll have some chipping and stuff on there. What I'll do is I'll run this out. Make sure all that starter bit's cleaned out and I got a good 1/4 inch hole going. Clean that off. If you're drilling with a certain kind of lathe, like I said, make sure you have one that runs clean. Sometimes you're going to spray it down if you want to spray it down. Make sure it runs smooth. And then I try to keep it to an 8 to 3/16 of an inch bore every time, so you do a lot of steps. So you basically get it started, and then you do about an 8. Clean it off. Spray a little. 8, clean it off, spray a little. It's a very long process when you're drilling acrylic. You want to take your time. The faster you drill, the more heat friction will develop and it'll actually create bubbling in your tone channel. You don't want to do that. So it's one thing you want to make sure is we tend to use WD-40. There's guys that like to use automatic transmission fluid. I just find that it's easier cleanup with WD-40 and for polishing and stuff like that. So, all right. So now that we got the 1/4 inch line basically bored all the way in to hit the stopper, so that's as deep as that we want the checkmate board to go. So what we do now is we use our step bit. We want to take basically the majority material before the reamer. It saves a little bit on the reamer down the road. Life-wise, they're expensive, so you don't want to buy a bunch of these. Ask Henley.
Yeah.
So basically get this cleaned up here. We want to go, I have it set at a certain depth that I have marked. Like I said, once in a while you just got to make sure you clean the bit out. Make sure there's enough WD on there to make it run it to where you want. That's the depth, basically what my finish line is going to be on that. So I want to take the finish reamer basically to smooth out all the ridges on that step bit. Alright, just gotta check, make sure you got all the ridges going. Okay, to save you a little headache down the road too, when you're polishing, after you use WD, I usually like to use an electrical cleaner. It's a softer, it's not like not as abrasive as like carb cleaner like that. It won't eat away at the acrylic, so when you clean it off, Basically just spray this down, make sure the tone channel is cleaned out good. That way, because when you're doing your wet sanding and stuff like that, it's hard on sandpaper, so. And you're ready to go.